have every member of our Athletic Hall of Fame hanging on the wall in there, and the plaques all look just like this. They're in a little bit different frame, but I did want to read what will go up on the wall in the Hall of Fame for him. Jerry Cullen took over the Dodge City Community College football program in 1979 and would guide the Conquistadors for the next 10 years on the gridiron. He came to Dodge City after 7 years as an assistant coach at Fort Hays State University. Cullen would lead the Conquistador football team from 1979 to 1990, coaching 105 games during his tenure, picking up 47 total wins over his 10-year period, while claiming a conference championship and playing in 2 bowl games in the process. He left the Conquistadors as the winningest coach in Dodge City Community College history, a record that still stands today. His best season came in 1983 when the Conquistadors would claim the Jayhawk Conference title and finish 8-3 that season. The 83, and I know there's a lot of you here. The 83 season also saw the Conquistadors play in their first ever bowl game in school history as the Conquistadors took on Coffeyville Community College in the Jayhawk Classic Bowl. 2 years later, Cullen led the Conquistadors to another successful season as they finished with a 6-5 record and played Dixie College in the Roaring Ranger Bowl in Texas. The season in between those 2 seasons was also exceptional, as the Conks recorded a 7-3 record in 1984. During his 10 seasons at the helm of Dodge City football, he coached 7 All-Americans, with 6 of the 7 earning first-team honors and the other picking up second-team honors. Those were Willard Goff in 1981, Mark Morgan 1982, Kenneth Reed 1983, Mike Beal 1983, Mike Hicks 1985, Robert Del Pino 1985, and Kenny Wilhite 1989. During his tenure, he coached a pair of former NFL players and Dodge City Community College Athletic Hall of Famers in Robert Del Pino and Steve Tasker. He also coached former Kansas State University head football coach and Dodge City Community College Academic Hall of Fame member Ron Prince. The impact that Cullen had on the field is secondary to the impact he had on his players off the field. If you talk to his former players, the phrases that you will hear the most are, "He changed my life, and I would not be where I am without him, without Coach Cullen." So that's what we have. With that, for the induction speech, I will turn it over to Mr. Damon Post.
Thanks, man. First off, Coach, I'm very honored to do this. Kind of took me by surprise, to be honest with you. Most of you know me, but you know, this is one of those things that seemed like it was never going to happen. Best things in life, you got to wait for them, but I don't think they really ever had to deal with COVID. You know, I was asked to be on this committee 7-8 years ago, and us committee members, Jake has us put a list together of who we think ought to be in, and so I'm going through and I'm at these dinners, you know, the last few years, and you hear Robert's story and you hear Tasker's, and you hear what Coach meant to him. And yeah, I get choked up just talking about this. I'll just bear with me. But also, a lot of my close friends played for Coach, and I knew how big an impact he had. It was, you know, one that I'd be like, "Hey, let's go do this," and you know, they'd be all like, "No, man, we'll get caught." And I'm like, our parents are not going to find out. And they go, "I don't care, man. Coach Cullen will find out somewhere, somehow." And you know, I knew then that he was kind of a special guy. And I've heard the stories, and we'll hear some more tonight. But after that, we get done with the committee, or I'm coming up with my names. I call Robert Schrader, asked him, and I said, "Hey," I go, "I'm going to try to get Cullen in," and I said, "I'm going to need some help." I said, "Just plug me some emails, get guys, I need, you know, just boom, boom, boom." I didn't know how big a scope it was until my inbox just started flooding in, and I'm like, "Oh my word!" I said, "This is unbelievable." And you know, reading these letters and stuff, and I printed some of them off. I'll give them to you, Coach, when I get done. But you know, it's pretty crazy that he asked me to do this because I never played for Coach. You know, if I would have, I'm pretty sure I could have got a track scholarship because he would have had me running the whole practice. You know, and that's why I ended up in the booth because he never made you run for being a wise ass. And you know, I want to read one letter to you that really got me when we were doing this, and it's from Tom Stark. Are you here?
No.
No? Okay. So he goes, I played for Coach 82-83. He not only taught me about football, he taught me a lot about life and how to be a man. I have so much respect for this man. He goes, I was recruited out of high school my senior year. My family was so excited that I was going to further my football career in the fall. To show he was more than a football coach, my father died unexpectedly in 1982. Coach Cullen drove 2 hours to be at his funeral. I had only met him when I signed with DC3. This meant a lot to me and my family. It just shows to the caring and compassion. And with that, folks, is a coach you want in the Hall of Fame. Jerry Cullen, Hall of Famer, coming up.
Obviously, this is something that, for you, presented Dodge Community College Athletic Hall of Fame class of 2022. Certificate is proudly presented to Jerry Cullen, Dodge City Community College head football coach, 1979-1990. And I think a special touch of this, obviously, the people that signed it, as the athletic director, I signed it. However, also the chair of our board is also a former player, and that's Gary Harshberger. So his signature is on there as well. Absolutely.
I'm not very good at this speaking stuff. But I grew up in a family of 11. And my mom had on the refrigerator out front, before you open the door, tried to find another sandwich or something. And it just was the rules. It was the rules that we had to adhere to. Number one, if you wanted to keep in good graces with my mom. But number two, if you're going to be a success, these are the things that you have to do. And there was about 15 items on there, and I guarantee you, everyone in my family had them memorized. And I've got to put them on my wall. I didn't want to do this really. But I have them hung up on my wall in my home for my kids, my grandkids, as a good, strong reminder to me. And you know, it's nothing complicated. It's about treating the way you treat people. And I guarantee you, I have never coached a team, especially on our championship team, but I never coached teams that played so well together and had so much respect for one another, and yet they were from all over the place as far as coming into the play groups. And they come under all different kinds of conditions. But just to give you a hint, it just never hurt it. Number one, and of course, when you have 7 boys playing football out in the rocks, never hurt anybody intentionally. Now, they might get hurt, but nobody intentionally threw them into that rock pile. And, but that was one of them. Never hurt anybody intentionally. Always be honest and square. If you did something, you screwed it up, take credit for, do what you have to do to get yourself straight again, and you're back on the right track. And it, you know, and I look at it all the time, but you just gotta keep on them, and it rides in your mind. So you start thinking about, well, what should I do here? And one of those rules will pop up and hit you in the side of the head real quick, and oh yeah, probably the best direction that I could go. And I think because those kids played by those rules and their respect for one another, and I guarantee you, we beat a hell of a lot of teams that if you just lined them up nose to nose, they probably had better players than we had. Although we did have a shitload. We had a shitload. I told my wife I would keep it clean. But it just came natural. And, but just that our players agree, not agree with one another, they're respected. That's it. They respected one another. And no matter where you were from, no matter what position you played, and they were willing to help one another. And I think that is probably the key to the whole damn thing. And it's when they believe in one another, and when they believe in the same thing, and they know that it takes every one of us. When we're on the field, we can't win games with 10 players or 9 players. We got to have all 11 beating on the same chord. And that's the only way you're ever going to get it done. And we had more plays throughout the season that were right there. And I guarantee you could go back and look at the films, and I looked at them a bunch of times, that you could see, oh man, a kid gets beat. Well, he was doing something he shouldn't have been doing, or he wouldn't have got beat. Now, sure, there's going to be times that you're tougher than I am, and you put me on my back. But I guarantee you, there is never a time that you don't jump up, and in your mind you tell yourself, well, I'm going to whip his ass next time. And you come out, and I guarantee you, I can show you some players on that team that year that weren't very big, that weren't very fast, but goddamn, they had a heart that big. And they would get after you. And if you got them once, they would get you twice. And I think the attitude, that is the whole damn thing, is attitude. And I think if you could convince kids to respect one another, respect the game, know where you're going, and do it with everything you've got. Every time, and I don't care if you line up every time in a ball game and you're hitting this guy and he's just taking you where he wants to go, but you keep fighting, it makes a difference. If you just keep him occupied with you, it still leaves a hell of a lot of other people out there running around and we're going to get a shot at it. And I've seen it time and time again as we go through film. And sometimes they say that I was hard on them. I yelled at them. I did a lot of things. And every one of them they tell you is true. And because that was one of the things my mom told us kids. You're never going to get there by yourself. So make sure how you're treating the people around. And I guarantee you with 7 boys, sometimes they didn't treat each other real gentle. But it's a matter of getting in and doing it right, and going way beyond what you're required to do. Requirements doesn't mean anything. What's in here is going to make the difference. That I'm going to line up, and I'm going to get, and I guarantee you, we had a nose guard, he'd drive me absolutely batshit. But I don't care, and he wasn't very big, he wasn't the greatest thing, but he was ready for it, and he didn't get a lot of tackles, but I guarantee you from tackle to tackle, he made a bigger impact probably than anybody. And matter of fact, sometimes I'm like, nah, how the hell did he get way the hell over there? And it was just because he had put a little bit more of that effort into it. A little bit of that fire into it. You know, kind of getting that mindset. I'm gonna get ready and I'm gonna come off here so damn quick. He's not gonna know where I'm at. And I guarantee you they did. Or I'm not gonna miss it. I missed the tackle last time, I'm not gonna do it again. Whether I have to run him down and jump on his back and crank his neck. But whatever it takes, we're gonna get it done. Guys, you don't understand how much this means. Thank you very much.